Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wimpy Studio. Today I'm going to be reviewing When Calls the Heart Season 7, Episode 10. It is called Don't Go, and this is the season finale. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty packed recap. I have a lot of stuff to get through. This is going to be kind of like a full season recap all together, me talking about my feelings for the season, and yeah. I was going to do a separate video, but might as well just all pack it into one. So let's go ahead and get started. There's a ton to talk about, and I want to get in 20 minutes, so let's go. Okay, so let's start with talking about Lee. So over the past couple of episodes, we have gotten Lee's backstory. And I have wanted this from the very beginning because we haven't gotten much of Lee. I mean, he was kind of just a character who rolled into town, married Rosemary, and that's pretty much all we've gotten of him. I mean, him and Jack had a good relationship. Both Jacks actually, that's funny. But besides that, we don't really know anything about his family. And Lee has had a pretty big last couple episodes. He almost died, and that's the biggest one, of course. And it turns out that he has a sister, and that his childhood's pretty rough. He lost his brother, his mom, and his dad. So it turns out that Lee left in between his mother and father's death when he was 18. So I'm assuming that his brother died when he was like 13, his mom died when he was around 16, and his father died when he was around 20, I would say. So that's a lot of deaths in between there. I feel really bad for him, and I understand why he left. And now he realized that something that he wanted to do before he died was reconcile with his sister. It made him realize this after his near-death experience. So then he tries to reconnect with his sister. It doesn't work, but now she's coming to Hope Valley, and it doesn't start well because she's still really upset at him. I mean, there was definitely some awkwardness between and I mean, but then again, everything that doesn't start well seems to always end well. And they get along. It was like kind of like rocky, but like closer to the end of the episode, they get along, and so is just Susanna and Rosemary. And yeah, I thought that was a really good thing. And they might go and visit her. So I thought that was a pretty cool addition to add. Also, Susanna wouldn't let Lee call her by a nickname. I thought it was a little bit weird. Maybe she's like a new person, but I don't know. So let's talk about Gowan for a second. So Gowan's condition does become worse, but it's not really. It is health issues, but like not like in the way you would probably expect. He's definitely really stressed out about the business because we've seen the business this season kind of like fall into pieces, and this episode just proved even more of that. Because we've seen Lucas throughout the past couple episodes struggle with it. And so because Lucas has been paying his the employees with his own pocket money because there's not enough money to pay them because they've already lost a lot of the money and they can't get more money because the business is falling apart. They don't have the resources. So Lucas backs out to start with, and Elizabeth confronts him saying but he confides in her about the whole business because Elizabeth's really the only person that he will confide in because honestly, Elizabeth is really the only person that he knows, who he's interacted with. I mean, Abigail at the very beginning, but she's not in the show anymore. But, Nathan has interacted with more people, I think. I mean, definitely has a strong connection with Bill. That's pretty much the only thing we've gotten of him. But, and Elizabeth. But, I do like Elizabeth and Lucas as definitely of a friendship. And I'll talk about that a little bit later. But Lucas asked Gowan to make him majority owner. And then we got this really interesting line from Gowan. He's like, the answer's no, and there's the door. You could tell that he was upright mad. And honestly, he had a right to be mad. I would have been mad in that situation too. But Gowan has always known to have a temper. And I've watched in other shows that he's in Riverdale. He plays Tom Keller, Kevin's dad, and he actually did have like a small temper in one episode recently with Archie's uncle. So you can kind of see how that relationship between Gowan and other people. He's not doesn't have the best relationship. Which, to be honest, Gowan's just not that type of person who you can really trust, and neither is Lucas. That's why I think that they have make a good bond. But like, so he denies being Lucas being a majority owner, but then by the end, he says that he's backing out, and with Gallon backed out, that way all the employees can be paid and everything can go back to normal. And Lucas, by the end, he doesn't seem to be happy about this, about that, because he doesn't really know much about running a business. He said to Elizabeth, but I think that that could definitely be something that can be explored in season 8, which I'll talk about in a second. Because at the very end, I have some things I want to see in season 8. Um, so yeah. So yeah. Okay, let's talk about Fiona. So last we haven't gotten much of Fiona. She's definitely a supporting character. And last episode, it seems like she's getting in trouble with her boss, and she has to leave Hope Valley. And this continued into next episode. Even like Molly Sullivan has to come in and like help Florence out with like the telegram stuff, and that's unfortunately I'm not. The problem with introducing a storyline with a supporting character is if you're gonna make it up like, oh, they're gonna leave Hope Valley because of this job thing, it's just not that's not the storyline for a supporting character, I don't think, because we don't know enough about the character to for it to be like a life or death situation. Obviously it's not like a life or death here, but like it's a pretty big storyline that I think is more for a main character to have. But then by the end, Fiona doesn't get to stay in Hope Valley, except she did get fired. So I feel like next season we'll see Fiona in a different way. And I'll actually talk about that at the end of my presentation. Of course, she's like listed in my things I do want to see in season 8. So let's talk about the triangle, and then we'll get to the ending. So the triangle, of course, expands. I forgot to add this in because I thought it was such an overlooked storyline. Elizabeth does get news about her book, and I'm happy for her. But it feels like that this was such a random storyline because we saw it like a little bit, and we know that Elizabeth's a good writer. But it feels like that it was just such a like came out of nowhere storyline. Elizabeth's writing being legit, she has been rejected before, and this time it looks like that it does want to publish her book. But like we haven't really gotten much of it. I mean, thanks to Lucas, of course, and that's one thing that they have in common. But so that happens, and then Nathan. Nathan tries to ask Elizabeth out on a date, but unfortunately, he doesn't get the courage to ask her. But then Elizabeth and Lucas had like they had like a cute date, except Elizabeth doesn't want to have necessarily for it to be called a date, even though it's pretty much kind of is. But after they have their little like time together, he tries to do things that he's like, well, if this was a date, I would do this, and kept saying that, which obviously he wanted it to be a date. But like then Nathan asks Elizabeth out, and I thought that was a good. He finally gets the courage to ask her out, and yeah, I thought that was like a good way to add it in, especially because after her thing with Lucas, and especially because after what happens that they finally get to. Because we've seen like the Lucas and Elizabeth dynamic already, and now I think it's nice that they add in the Nathan and Elizabeth thing. So yeah. So and then let's talk about the ending. So pretty much they're doing a prisoner transfer from Elias O'Rourke, and that was in last episode. That storyline with Nathan doing that, and well, they had to do a prisoner transfer, and this guy's sister comes up with a shotgun saying, like, let go of my brother or else bad things will happen. And then, and this was like a weird scene. The Mountie, so Nathan comes up and he's like, okay, like, can you please hand over the gun and we can take care of things here? And if he lets them escape, she's gonna have to face, I don't remember how many years, but she's gonna have to definitely be in jail. And he's already looking in 20 years tops. And that's a lot. But like we got that, but then this is pretty surprising. Uh, she was about to hand over the thing, but then a Mountie decided to get the gun out and try to shoot her. And I'm like, no, why would you do that? They could have he Nathan could have gotten the gun. Everything could have been resolved, but instead a Mountie came out and shot. We don't know who he shot at that one point. And then we thought it was Nathan. People are like, it's Nathan. I think it was Nathan who got shot. And we heard this from inside the mercantile. And then Elizabeth runs out in tears. She looks just as upset, and maybe even a little bit more. I mean, because we remember how she found out that Jack Dye was right in the middle of Hope Valley streets at night. Well, this is like middle of the day, but like she just ran out in the same tears that she had. And then it turned out that he was okay. Nathan was okay because he walked up behind her, but then it turned out to be someone else. People are just speculating. I mean, someone did get shot, of course, but here's the so Nathan walked up behind Elizabeth, and then she ran in for a very tight hug, emotional hug, and then Lucas walks out and sees the whole thing. And then that ended with like them hugging. And that was a good ending, I thought. Even though it didn't exactly resolve the love triangle up, at least now we know more of Elizabeth's preference than last season. Because remember last season, she danced with Lucas and made eye contact with Nathan. And it was just the same thing. Like, both of them were one of her interests because, her eye contact with Nathan and her dancing with Lucas, those were equal. But finally we got more of a preference. And I was hoping that even if we didn't get her choosing someone, we'd get a preference. And Nathan does look like because if she was like emotional enough and crying and actually thought that he was dead, that means that you have feeling. She definitely has feelings for him. And then her how do I say this? Her relief that he's okay and running in to hug him. It just shows that. I mean, of course, Elizabeth has some feelings for Lucas. We all know that. But I really liked how do I say this? I really liked how they were able to how do I say this? Like, I thought that was a really good ending, them hugging. So yeah. Okay. Before I move into like some other stuff, I just wanted to say that I like both Nathan and Lucas. Of course, I like Nathan better. But I mean, of course, I like Nathan better because he's just another Mountie. Even though we don't want Elizabeth to go through that same thing again, I think that she'll be with Nathan, but it'll teach her, and Nathan will promise her to never do something like that again. Never think that Elizabeth's going to lose him because we don't want Elizabeth to go through that process again. One time is enough. Okay, Hallmark writers, don't make Nathan die, I mean, it was like so sudden. He's okay. And, I mean, I thought that I had a feeling that Nathan got shot, and people were saying that, but he happens to be okay. Okay, so I have some season awards that I want to talk about. So, best moment, Jesse and Clara's wedding. I definitely thought I mean, a wedding always is the top, but you can see how Jesse and Clara love each other. We didn't get to see that throughout this episode. I was kind of disappointed, but I don't know. So the best episode has to be the finale, which is this episode I'm reviewing right now. So much stuff happened, and I really liked it. Best characters, I like all the characters in this show. Elizabeth in particular. I mean, Gowan's the only character that I'm not a huge fan of. And, like, even him, I mean, there's still some good in him. Because even Abigail believes in him, Anyways, the best couples, all Rosemary and Lee, Jesse and Clara, Carson and Faith, Elizabeth and Nathan. All those couples win best couple of the year, of the season. And my overall grade, I give it an A. So those are my season awards. Now, let's get into some other stuff. So, great news. There will be a season 8 of When Close the Heart. This was announced by the actor who plays Elizabeth, Erin Krakow. Do not know how to say her last name. But she promised that there will be some great news. I'm like, okay, she's going to announce that there's going to be a season 8. And there was. Really like that. Really glad that there's a season 8. Approximate release date, I would say, again, February 2021, because February seems to be the main year that the show releases. And it may subject to change due to the pandemic. We don't really know. But I'm really excited that there's going to be season 8. Now, there is some things that I want to talk about, things I want to see in season 8. So, the first thing is that Elizabeth chooses Nathan at last and they have a family with Allie. I didn't write this, so I honestly want Elizabeth and Nathan to get together and, like, maybe not get married, maybe a season 9 wedding if there is one. I can imagine there being 10 seasons. You know, I can imagine there being 10 seasons. I don't really know. But, I also want to see Elizabeth writing her book and dealing with that. I didn't write that down. But, like, her, like, writing her book and the struggles with that. So also, Lucas is upset by Elizabeth's choice. I mean, of course, it's a love triangle. There's going to be some jealousy. But he puts his whole control into the business. We get to see Lucas as the owner of Gallon Petroleum. And he possibly gets a new love interest. I mean, something different for Lucas, but not to make Elizabeth jealous. Because I think that would just, I wouldn't, there hasn't been really to make each other jealous as much, but, like, not to make Elizabeth jealous, just for Lucas to have a love interest, so he's happy. And I want to see Lucas's backstory because Lucas is so mysterious, and we don't even know much about his backstory now. All we know is that he's a business owner, and that he's kind of fishy. So I'm hoping that we will get the backstory revealed on him. Also, Jesse and Claire are happy together. They're married, and they do consider kids. Because, I mean, Jesse and Claire are married. We haven't seen much of them, except Claire being nervous that something might have happened to Jesse. And we get to see some cute couple scenes, But then it does look like that we might get more of, hopefully we'll get more of them in season 8, because that's a couple that I like. So I also want to see Faith returning, and we get to see more of her and Carson. Definitely a couple that I like, because she left at the beginning of the season. And for there to be more of Carson and Faith, because I do like that couple. She should definitely return to the show. I really like Carson and Faith together. I also want Rosemary to get pregnant and her and Lee start a family. And how am I supposed to say this? So Rosemary gets pregnant, her and Lee start a family. And yeah, I mean, I think we all want Rosemary and Lee to have kids. I think we all do. Also, that Fiona gets a bigger role. And a lot of people are saying that they want Lucas and Fiona to get together. And I can kind of see that happening. Because, like, maybe Fiona's, like, looking for a job because, she's fired from her job. It's, like, what she does now. And maybe she helps Lucas out, with that thing, and then they grow closer together. I can kind of see that happening. Fiona's already flirted with a guy before, and the one who's a groomsman for Jesse and Clara's wedding. He's gone now. I don't remember his name. Kevin, I think it was. And I don't know, but Fiona, I hope she does get a bigger role. Okay, so this will be the end of my review. There was so much stuff to talk about, I gotta say. And I really, really enjoy When Close the Heart. Oh, of course, we'll have to wait a while for season 8. This is why I wanted to give you one big last When Close the Heart thing before we have to say goodbye to it for a little while. And I think I do want to do a When Calls the Heart versus When Hope Calls kind of thing soon. Probably closer to when the new season comes out. So you guys will get something. Also, update on When Hope Calls. Me and my mom are almost done with the series. We're probably going to watch the season finale this week. However, I'm gonna wait to review it until this new book called Unyielding Hope comes out. So yeah, it's about When Hope Calls, and I can probably review it along with the show. So probably next week, beginning of May, sometime I'll get my review out for When Hope Calls. I know it was going to be. I said the end of April, but it's going to be the beginning of May. So yeah, When Calls the Heart is over, but season 8 is returning. I'm definitely going to be reviewing season 8. Anyways, I want to thank everyone for watching Whoopi Studio. Stay tuned for more videos coming your way. I love you guys. Please like, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications. And bye.